Call the Stokes County Board of Commissioners meeting in order at 2 o'clock. I ask Commissioner Chandler to do the invocation.
Please stand. Lord, we're gathered today for another day of official business for Stokes County government. Please give us the wisdom and the patience and the ability to listen effectively and communicate with our citizens. Also, let's not forget about our soldiers that are still overseas protecting our freedoms in harm's way. Give them the protection that is needed for them to complete their task. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now get approval of the agenda.
Make a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
That moves us down to public comments.
Each speaker shall be allowed 4 minutes for public comments with the option to yield time to another speaker or add an optional minute depending on the number of speakers that have signed up while abiding by the 30-minute total time limit. All speakers shall maintain good decorum and show respect and good manners. Vulgar language, profanity, inappropriate gestures, insults, personal attacks, accusations, and inflammatory language is prohibited. The chairman of the board shall enforce these rules, and anyone not complying with these rules shall not be allowed to continue. At their discretion, members of the board may address items from the public comment portion of the meeting during the commissioner comment period. First up, we have Sid Wise.
Good afternoon, Commissioners, and good afternoon, Stokes folks. I'm Sid Wise, 2761 Beasley School Road in Sandy Ridge. It'll surprise y'all to know I'm not here to talk about the Foothills Snorkel Trail. So instead, I'm here to talk about Parks and Recreation. There are 2 points that I'd like to make. First, I'm one of the volunteer members of the Parks and Recreation Steering Committee, and we've been involved in the 14-month effort to create the active Stokes plan that you'll be presented later today. The committee has solicited input from citizens all over the county. We've carefully put together what we believe are ways to move the county forward with Parks and Recreation. I thank the commission for recognizing the decades-long neglect of Parks and Recreation in Stokes County and for taking these steps to do something about it. I encourage the commissioners to adopt the active Stokes plan and the recommendations that are within it, to put the recommendations into our county operational plan and budget, and to move forward with it. We as citizens, I mean, all of us hate to see some taxpayer-funded study that just gathers dust on the shelf and doesn't do any good for the citizens, so don't let this be one of them. The second thing I'd like to address is the Francisco Park. The active Stokes plan deals with all the county parks that we have, and it specifically goes into detail on Wartock Park and the new park in Francisco. The Francisco Park is actually very admirable. Commissioner Chandler, this is your neighbors up here who've made this happen. The folks in Northwest Stokes County needed a park in an area of the county that's never had one historically. They've put in years of effort to getting the Francisco Park up and running to make it a reality. They had one of the citizens donate 15 acres of land to the county specifically to be a park. They put in thousands of hours of effort to create walking trails, to clean up the place, to make it look visually appealing, and to schedule various events there throughout the year. The job's not done yet, though. They still have needs, including infrastructure that needs to be built out. This includes shelters, and it includes ADA available paths and parking. So right now the county has a unique opportunity to fund $142,000 of that infrastructure need through a grant from the North Carolina Parks and Recreation Trust Fund. This is money that doesn't have to come from Stokes County. However, to qualify for that grant, the park needs to put up matching funds. The citizens of Northwest Stokes have raised some of that money themselves for the grant. And they've done things like spaghetti dinners and all the other things that we do in Stokes County to raise funds. They're still short somewhat. They need the county to put up the rest of the match to qualify for the grant, and I encourage the county to do it. Thank you all for your time today. I appreciate all your efforts as commissioners, and I know you'll do the right thing on this.
Thank you.
Nancy Pettit.
Good afternoon, and thank you for your time today. My name is Nancy Pettit. My husband and I moved to northern Stokes County 4 years ago, and we made a very intentional decision to be here. We love the rural character of the community, and we're committed to contributing to its growth. I'm here today to speak in support of Francisco Park and the Part F grant opportunity that's before you now. This is not a conceptual project, as Sid mentioned. Francisco Park already exists, and phase 1 has been completed through more than 1,200 hours of volunteer time, and the park is already being used and enjoyed by the community. What we're asking for now is not a handout, it's a partnership. The Part F grant represents an opportunity to bring outside funds into Stokes County and significantly expand what has already been built through local effort. The proposed phase 2 improvements, and again, Sid mentioned this, a pavilion, ADA accessible walking trail, and multi-purpose field will create a true gathering space for northern Stokes County where none currently exists. I understand and respect that you are careful stewards of the public funds, and that is exactly why I think this opportunity makes sense. This is a well-planned project, supported by strong community engagement, and positioned to leverage state funding to maximize the county's investment. The risk is not in moving forward. The risk is in missing the opportunity. The community has already demonstrated its commitment through time, effort, and organization. We will continue that effort regardless, but with your support, we can do something far more impactful in a shorter period of time. We respectfully ask for your support in approving the master plan and allocating the matching funds necessary to move forward with the Part F grant. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you.
Paula?
Apologies.
That's okay.
Ms.
Don't,
Johnson and I will, you'll hear a lot from us in a few.
just wanted to make sure. Paula Duggan?
Oh, I'm not speaking.
Okay. Then we are all done.
We're all done. All right, that moves us down to the commissioner's comments. I'll start with Mr. Chandler.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Welcome, everybody. It's nice to see the room filled with our citizens, and I want to hear your input. I think it says a lot for all the different areas that come together that have concerns or that have requests. It's always, emails are fine too, and telephone calls, but I think it's always a little bit better when we can see face to face and talk to one another. But it's just, everything may not go one way or everyone's way, but at least, we have that level of communication, and you can hear fully what our thoughts are. It's a great day out today, and we've got a lot on the plate, and I'll leave it at that and turn it back over you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to welcome everybody. We've got a good agenda today with a lot of interesting topics on it. I'd like to echo what Brad said in his prayer to keep the military folks that are engaged in Iran and other places in the front of your mind. They're taking extreme risk, and I don't think they're quite finished here with what's going on over there. So we really need to be thinking about them. Also, I would encourage everybody to keep in your prayers the safety of our president and the senior people in Washington that are running the country up there. We've obviously got some big issues there, and I think a lot of concern about especially the president's personal safety. So Again, thanks for being here. Look forward to the meeting today.
Mr. Martin. Mr. Woods.
I'd like to welcome everybody too. I appreciate you taking time out of your day to come and see how the county's run and your input. That's all I got.
Mr. Cox.
I thank everybody for being here and your attendance and the ones watching online. And it's a beautiful day outside, but I appreciate everybody's attendance and coming out to voice their opinions and take part in the meeting. So thank you.
Well, it's great to see everybody today. Had a great turnout this past weekend for the Farmers Appreciation Meal. Instead, I got to around 400 people there. It was great to see the fellowship, all the people that come out and support it. It was great to see Jeff, our county manager, there, and Assistant County Manager Dillon was there also. Had a great time. And again, thank everyone for being here today. And Jeff, I'll let you proceed if you'd like to say something.
I'd just like to make one clarifying point. There was a question raised before the meeting about our burning ban and whether or not fire pits are covered by that. Within 100 feet of a residence, fire pits are, it's acceptable to have a fire in a fire pit if it's associated with cooking. I hope that gives you the clarification you're looking for.
Just to just to verify that if you're not cooking, we will come put the fire out right now. Trust me. Okay, just to clarify that what Jeff said. Yeah.
Get one hot dog on there then.
Yeah. Get a hot dog on there before we get there. You like to say
Whether you're
something?
going to eat it or not.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd just like to acknowledge all the hard work that went into the Farmers Appreciation Dinner, from Soil and Water, from Cooperative Extension, Farm Services Agency, and the young people that turned out for the meeting. That's really the future of Stokes County. So I'd just like to acknowledge that, and I'd also like to acknowledge the Health Department on their accreditation. They did a fantastic job, and I'm sure you'll hear more about that later.
Thanks, sir. Debbie?
No, thank you.
That moves us to the consent agenda. Can I get approval for the consent agenda?
Motion to approve.
We need to do conflicts of interest first. I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm
Just
sorry.
to make sure
Whoa,
it's
I
all
went
covered.
I went right back, didn't
You're
I?
okay.
Before moving further, does any board member have a conflict with any of the items on the agenda for the day or one that could perceive as a conflict of interest? Sorry about that, I was looking down too
Okay.
far. How could I get approval for the consent agenda?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that moves us to the information agenda, the Senior Citizen Expansion Services.
Commissioners, staff, Reba Dotson and I'm Paula Hall from King Senior Center. Reba Dotson is with Walnut Cove Senior Center. It's always a pleasure to come to you and give you updates on the ways that we serve our aging community here in Stokes. So thank you for the opportunity. May is Older Americans Month, and Reba and I felt very strongly about coming and sharing with you a brief update. Today we are going to focus a little bit more on what we're learning about the needs of our aging population. But Older Americans Month is a time to recognize and celebrate the contributions of older adults and how they serve our communities. And we have a wealth of older adults here in Stokes County who serve all of our communities in really remarkable ways. And so we're going to share a little bit about them. Stokes County adults are aging. We've said it many times when we've come here. These numbers were based on 2024, but there's over 17,000 adults over the age of 55 living in Stokes County currently. We do have 2 senior centers, one in King, one in Walnut Cove, and we provide those services right there that you see: exercise, socialization. People come there to learn new things like how to use technology. Oftentimes they're there to play games and receive support. Together, as you know, our two senior centers and senior services are partnering to provide many of those same services in 5 remote communities in the county. Those sites are still active, they're very vital to those communities, and people are definitely engaging in those activities. So today what we wanted to focus on, the times that we've been here before, we've often talked about those activities, the importance of those exercise classes and those educational classes, because we know that those activities improve the health and wellness of older adults, and we know that it keeps them in their homes longer and people living more independently longer. But we're also, one thing that we haven't talked a lot about are the services that we provide. So being centers of excellence, which both of us are, Stokes County has that to be proud of, we have an obligation and responsibility to help connect people to services they need. And that's what we wanted to talk a little bit more today as a way of advocating for the seniors in the community, not to elicit change today, but to plant seeds and to start the wheels turning on what we see as needs when people contact us each week. The first one is housing. Older adults in Stokes County overwhelmingly need access to affordable, that's the key word, senior housing. So for people who want to stay, the goal for a lot of them is to stay in their homes as long as possible. These are, often in rural areas. They want to live there as long as they can. But when circumstances arise that they're unable to do that, that is when the problems start. So to live in their homes often require expensive repairs, home modifications, particularly if they have chronic illnesses or mobility issues. And those are things that a lot of people struggle to afford. And we have very limited resources to help them with those home improvements. So for the people that are looking to downsize, particularly on the northern side of the county, it requires them to move out of their community. And that can be devastating for folks. They're moving away from their church, they're moving away from friends, even from family, if they choose that route. So just really give some, I just want you to be aware of how housing is affecting people. For those that, the senior housing currently is on one side of the county, and even those senior apartments have waiting lists of 1 to 2 years. And if you had to private pay for senior housing, you're looking at around $1,000 a month. So imagine living on your Social Security and potentially half of your Social Security check going towards rent. That is what many seniors are facing right now. And then there are a few, I did want to mention that there are a few programs that help with home modifications and repairs. The barriers to people for those is that a lot of those programs are based on governmental budgets, and you all are well aware sometimes the snags that come up in those budgets that put a hold on those services. Application processes can be long and difficult. Many of those people require assistance with those, and again, they're long waiting list. So housing and repairs and modifications, big need that we're seeing with older adults. Anything you want to add to that? Food and nutrition. Many of those that are living in the most rural areas are expressing that there's not enough adequate access to affordable, again, key word, and nutritious food. Many of those communities do have Dollar Generals, which do offer convenience that they haven't had before, But typically food at those small stores are more expensive than the chain grocery stores, and they're not as healthy in general. The good news is there are some food pantries that you all are well aware of. Many churches and civic groups are helping fill in the gaps of some of that. But again, financial resources, transportation and access are still barriers for people. I'm in grad school for gerontology and just finished up a research project on aging adults living in rural Stokes County, and had to do some interviews. And it was coming from, I live on the King side of the county, but it was very enlightening to me that so many people have to drive 20 miles or more to get to a grocery store, often going out of county. And I'm not saying they're a Walmart. That's not what they're asking for. But it's just we take for granted that access to food is equal for everyone. And we're just making you aware that it's not. Let me back up here. One of the things that a couple of people have brought up are these congregate meal sites. We have 2 right now that are operating, one in King and one at Cove. But maybe it's time to revisit and ask some of those communities if there's interest in the possibility of a 3rd congregate meal site. And if you're not familiar with those, Vicki East does a great job at senior services in managing those congregate meal sites. But it's an opportunity for seniors to eat on a donation basis. Those that live in Stokes County, if they're age 60 or older, they can get a free lunch during any weekday. So maybe time to think about that. Transportation is huge. Reba and I talk about transportation a lot. And what we're talking about with transportation, and know that transportation is the key to all of these services that we provide help with. What the need is easier access to transportation services that might be a little more flexible. Senior Services offers, they manage the transportation for older adults in our county, both general and medical transportation. And transportation's expensive. And I have to give a lot of credit to Vicki for managing those transportation services. Some of the barriers that we're seeing is oftentimes that the service that we use requires a 2-week notice. So when doctor's appointments get changed, it can often throw off, they may have to wait an extra month for an appointment just simply because they can't get to it. That transportation service also requires people to have the ability to get from their front door to the van unassisted. So if someone has mobility issues, that's a challenge. And then also the other thing that a lot of people don't realize is if you're on a van with multiple people and there are multiple stops, a 2-hour appointment might take 4 or 6 hours because of all the stops that they have to make. And if you have a chronic illness or 2 or 3, that makes for a really long day, and that can be really challenging for folks. That service that we currently have is a great service. That's not what we're not saying do away with that, because it's so vital to Stokes County. What we're asking is maybe it's time to look at where gaps are and how we could do a better job of filling some of those gaps for folks. Lastly is healthcare, and Stokes County is doing, making great strides in addressing healthcare, better healthcare options. The one thing that came out in some of the interviews that I did with particularly people on the northern side of the county are the specialists. So again, if you have people that have chronic health conditions that require appointments with oncologists or cardiologists or pulmonologists, they're finding it difficult to, number one, get there because some of those appointments are an hour away, and having access to those specialists closer to home would be a big help. And so that's something that I hope that we can also move towards in the future. And kudos to Stokes County Health Department for offering, and there's some other agencies too, but continuing to offer preventative services and education. Those two things together can help, if things are done early enough, can help prevent the need for those specialists. So we would definitely like to see preventative screenings and education continue. It's truly an investment in Stokes County. So why are these supports so important? All of these supports help people live safely and affordably in their own homes longer. The one thing that I did not mention in here, we didn't mention, is the need for in-home supports. Right before I came here, had a lady come in, and that is I'm a caregiver support provider here in the county, along with DSS, and we partner together for a caregiver support group. And we constantly hear every week about people looking for in-home supports that they can afford. And that means some people just need 2 or 3 hours, 2 or 3 days a week. But sometimes those services can be too costly for people, and so people are left struggling. So again, little supports can really help people live longer, be healthier, and safer. All of these supports help people maintain independence, comfort, and autonomy. They improve health. They conserve financial resources, as they are lower cost and transitioning to when you're really looking at how staying in your home compares to, hold on, how did I do that? Remind me tomorrow. If you look at how that compares to transitioning to assisted living or other facilities, it definitely conserves financial resources. It reduces isolation it allows people, these supports help people stay in their communities where there are supports available, like neighbors and churches and civic groups and just friends and family. And it also, being in your own home, provides you a sense of purpose and routine. So Reba and I, and on behalf of some of the folks sitting out here, we want to continue to thank you for supporting what we're able to do in serving the older adults of Stokes County. Funding these programs and supports and services are vital to Stokes County as we age. We hope that what we're sharing and helping you better understand what some of the needs are can help you make those important decisions down the road that's just going to improve our communities more and make life living here in Stokes County better for a lot of people. So anything you'd like to add, Reba? We appreciate the support that the county gives us, and I'd like to thank Vicki East for her partnership. She's been wonderful, and the expanded services is one of the great partnerships that the county offers our citizens. So thank you.
I got a question. I don't want you to put you on the spot. In your research, have you seen any numbers on how much the number of senior citizens is going to jump in the next 5 years or 10 years? I mean, it's going to be a problem in my opinion.
The fastest growing number, it's going to grow. By 2030, they're going to people 65 and older are going to outnumber 16 and younger. The fastest growing population in Stokes County is going to be those 85 and older. And it's like I think they're growing by like 175%. All of those aging, because we had to look at census data, and again, census data is a few years old, but you can see the trends where we are definitely an aging community, and we're aging pretty fast. We're aging faster than what was predicted in 2020. So
I know that every day.
yeah.
Thank
So
you.
you're welcome. Any other questions?
If you did another congregate mill site, where would it be in the north part of the county? Where would you like it to be, I guess?
Well, I think that's up to the communities. What do you think, Reba? I would, and I've spoken to Vicki about it before. I think it's really up to those communities and their buy-in to it. Is there enough interest? Would enough people come to those congregate meal sites and support it? There has been one in the past, and then I don't know. Vicki might keep pointing to Vicki, but with the interest that we're seeing in expanded services, we just feel like it might be time for another conversation around that. But I think that those kind of decisions, I think, would involve the communities and the older adults that live there.
Okay. Also, what are you guys doing at Pine Hall for the seniors these days? You have regular events out there for them still?
Two classes a week, dance class and a sit and fit. And today we hosted a flower arrangement class for them. When I got there for sit and fit, there was 20 plus people there for that. So it's growing.
You said 2 classes per week and then something else.
We try to do special activities for them.
Special activities.
At different locations each month, so we because if y'all understand, we are using the facilities basically for nothing. So we try not to interfere with what they're doing, but we want to keep some interest there. So we try to plan what we do for the special activities on days that we already there that morning. So we try to put in behind it, just so we ain't tying up their facility all day.
Cultural arts, education, like in May, we have AARP come in to talk about scams and fraud. Yeah, we're having a social, and we try to rotate those through the different sites.
You ever thought about doing meals out there since it's set up for that sort of, or any kind of meal stuff for seniors?
Some of them come to Walnut Cove.
Vicky's raising her hand.
I can address that, Rick. We haven't seen the need for the meal program at Town Hall, but now we do see that at Sandy Ridge.
Oh, okay.
They're asking the Sandy Ridge folks in particular have expressed an interest.
Okay. I think Jesse's looking up the old age data, right, in the book.
16% over 65 in 2010 to 23% in 2023 for over 65 in Stokes County.
He's got data in another subject we're talking about. That's all I have, Mr. Chair.
Thank y'all. Very
Thank you.
enlightful presentation. We
Appreciate
appreciate
it.
all the information and everything y'all do.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. That moves us to the presentation of the Green Butt site.
I think Stewart's.
Jeff,
Stewart's
Oh.
got it.
Stewart's here.
That was my mistake.
I'm sorry.
Stuart, you'd be glad for Jeff to handle this, don't you, wouldn't you?
Either one's fine.
Got the maps loaded up. If you want.
Still.
All right.
All right, so I guess from previous meetings, we were looking at some of the green box sites and where they were located in the county. So we went back and looked to see if who and where and what was kind of underserved. And the first one we've got up here is 7 Mile. Well, first of all, everyone in the county is within 10 miles of a site. So we went back and looked at that. Then we went to the 7 Mile, and you can see within what's shaded in the dark gray, there's 23. It should be 23,000. That's addresses at the 7 Mile marks. 1,711 fall out of the service area. Most of those, the 1,652 of those, fall in the Germantown zone where we're planning to put the future green box. So once we get this one built, that count will go to 0. So that will come way down. Then we went to 8 Mile, and you can see the number. It falls even more. We will drop. The Germantown is 723 at 8 miles. That'll drop to 0. Our 23,835 is still at the 8 mile mark. 442 out of the service area from 1,711 at the 7 mile mark. So everyone's within the 10. So the 7 and 8, there's a little bit of difference, but most of the most of what is underserved is around the future site here on Germantown, in the Germantown zone. And you can see the numbers from Pilot Mountain, the Madison Danbury zone, Blues Lake, King, Tobacco, Asbury campaigns in Virginia. Those all are zero. So they're pretty evened out from what we're seeing on this. And Greg and Mappin helped me put these maps together. He did them. He put them together. He's got all that information of the addresses in those certain areas and was able to put it together. So, questions?
I got one question. What is the, like on your, I don't expect you to be precise on this, but what are the volume of what green box sites in the county create the most volume? They're taking in the most trash on a, I don't know if you track it on a weekly basis or monthly basis. Or.
Right now it's Pinnacle. We're pulling 10 tons a day out of Pinnacle. We're averaging, 10 ton a day, 40 tons a week.
And then with the new green box site, would that help alleviate
I'm hoping
some of that?
That was my goal for that site, was to pull some of the eastern part, some of the east side of King to that site, and I hope that's what we see, because right now most everyone in that area is going to Pinnacle, and I'm hoping this new site's going to pull some from Walnut Cove and King, but I'm really hoping it helps King, because right now we're pulling a compactor a day at King, and we average 10 to 12 ton per compactor every day in King. Thank you.
Is the objective to have everybody within 7 miles, or what is the objective of?
I don't know that we've set a objective. I feel like 10 miles is a good number. I feel like 8's good, and 7's even better.
Yeah.
I don't know that we have said specifically this is our number that we want to get to.
Okay. Well, those people that were going to the Hanging Rock thing that can't go there anymore to the park, what's their mileage to the closest one?
8 miles is what they are.
They'd be in the 8 mile category.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, to Sizemore Road.
So it's your objective then to keep everybody within 8 miles. I mean, we're doing good if we do that.
I think 8 is really good. 7's even better, but I think 8's good.
You get
Not there.
get pretty expensive.
But we're not there.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the objective. That's the objective, 7 or 8 miles then.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I had a question from a citizen about the Hanging Rock, that they thought people were still putting trash up there, and they may be on a limited basis, but then I called Robin. She said they haven't, I don't think they've encountered anybody, her rangers have encountered anybody that was putting it up there, still putting it up there at Hanging Rock. And she said she would put signs up that say if you deposit it on a park property, it's a misdemeanor that you can be charged with. And she's also said that they put cones up people would have to move the cones to go put it in there. So I'm not sure, or I guess that's our final answer on using the park, that people are not going to be able to use the park. So they'll have to go to that next one, which is like 7 or 8 miles. Right?
Yeah. Okay.
You know what I'm going to ask? How much money we're losing on recycling plastic?
Keith, I'm afraid to say right here.
It come up in Surrey County, and I was shocked.
I don't know that we're losing any. We're getting, we lose on glass. Glass is where we're losing money now. The plastics, we're not
I read
losing
an article
on
where
those.
Surrey was losing $22,000 a year.
We're not losing that. I can get some good numbers for you. I didn't pull nothing together, but we're not losing on that. But we do on the glass.
Well, it's not that much glass anymore, is it?
Well, we still get right much. It's
It's
Sizemore
heavy.
Road.
Problem is, it's heavy.
All the way.
And there's not really an external market for it anymore.
We do it mostly for convenience. It's if we did stop taking glass, we would hear a lot of noise from it.
Yeah.
But I think it's more of a convenient thing to take the glass.
Thanks.
It's just at Sizemore Road you do that.
Yeah, that's the only site we take glass currently.
Wasn't aware of that.
I don't have any specific questions about this presentation. Then what's the timeline for the new site?
It'll be in this upcoming budget.
27 budget,
Yeah.
it's in draft form right now.
Okay, that's all. Thank you.
Talk about the Pinnacle land site, 10 tons a day. Is the stickers working pretty good as far as people? I know we had an issue with Surrey and Rockingham County. And were those working pretty well now? I mean,
Yeah, we're having luck with the stickers. We're the site attendants are enforcing the stickers. Some does better than others, but yeah, we have seen a difference. We've seen a difference in some of the trash too at certain sites. Pine Hall, we've seen a difference there. We've seen a difference at Pinnacle too. They are working.
good. I was trying to encourage people. Some people say, I ain't putting no green sticker in one. I said, well, I'm sorry, but you won't be able to dump your trash. But, you know, it's there for a reason, you know, so we can keep up with all this stuff.
Most of the folks that call me, if they're complaining about it, what I tell them, I'm honest with them. I tell them, look, that, you know, we're doing this to keep your costs down. And if your cost keeps increasing and increasing, you know, at some point we have to look at doing other options, and we don't want to charge people. And most of the time, you know, they like that. They say, well, that's good. You know, we don't want that. So I kind of present it to them in that way.
Okay.
A lot of the counties, they make that an enterprise fund to go to like a green box site or go to Sizemore Road where you have to pay for a sticker to dump trash. So we don't want to go there.
Right.
That's all I got, but thank you.
Thank y'all.
That brings us to the results of the accreditation site visit. Tammy Martin.
Good afternoon, everyone. You should have the paperwork that they gave us after they did the site visit. We only missed one activity out of 147, and that was due to being short-staffed in environmental health and not being able to follow up on a complaint log. And this is the first time that we've ever been accredited with honors. So this Friday we will go to Raleigh, me and my assistant, to get those plaques and certificates to bring back and answer any questions the board has for us there also.
What pushed us over the top?
You have to have so many, it's on the back of page 2, out of each category passed, but we only missed one. So I think if you miss less than 5, then you're accredited with honors. But yeah, this one went from 2020 to 2025, the end of it due to COVID. So usually it's every 4 years, but this one got pushed out. So it will be every 4 years from now on.
Okay, great.
And they did say that some of our best practices were our MAT programs and our education in the community with our community paramedics as well, and then our mental health that we're starting.
Great.
Any questions?
I was just gonna say that's wonderful, because I know how hard y'all have worked and what all y'all put into that to get us this far, especially with the MAT and all the things that we've added and mental health, and I really appreciate all that work, because that's huge. It
Here.
really is.
Yes. Great job.
Yes. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Tammy, so much. Just to the discussing agenda, the distribution request public school building repair and renovation fund.
Good afternoon. Do have just a quick request today. for a distribution request for the Public School Building Repair and Renovation Fund. As you're aware, lottery funds come in for multiple purposes, and there's different lottery funds that will come in. We use some to pay off school debt. We've talked extensively about the grant program for several years. This is a very different fund. This is for repair or renovation for building for classroom space. They said if you want to build an amphitheater, you have to prove that you're going to teach classes in the amphitheater. So it is for those purposes. There is no match with these funds, and this is part of again, the grant dollars. The purpose that we're looking to use these funds, the Board of Education is using these funds, is to enhance our CTE department, our Career and Technical Education. Our Board of Education is looking at doing several different projects this year. We are going to put a animal science lab, that's a fancy word for a barn, an animal science lab at North Stokes and South Stokes, and then we're going to renovate the food science labs at North Stokes and South Stokes. Those funds we're going to use out of regular capital funds that we get each year. About a third of our capital funds, about $900,000, will go for those projects. And then we're looking to build a CTE building at West Stokes that would house construction, electrical, carpentry, masonry, and potentially plumbing in that. So it's 3 classrooms and 3 lab spaces. The total project would be about $2.6 million. There's about $2.1 million in that fund right now. We did ask them if we needed to request these funds now and then do another request next year around this time when the project's finishing up. For the remainder of those funds, they put in about $500,000 a year. It's a $500,000 to $600,000 with the principal and interest that goes into that. And they said to go ahead and request all of it now, and then we'll do an addendum in the budget as those funds would come out as the project ends. So we are requesting, these are pass-through funds. They come to the county. We have to request access to them. They're only used for public schools, but our Board of Education would like to request those funds with the Commissioner's approval.
Questions? Yeah. Hey, Brad, how you doing?
Doing fine. How are you?
Good. On the building you're going to build at West Stokes, these funds include money to put all the stuff in it that you have to do for trades like welders and equipment and whatever else.
This will take care of getting us ready for open classrooms. So everything that we need for the equipment, some of the stuff will move from other places. It won't all be brand new stuff, but it will outfit the classes
You're all
for
set
use.
to
Yes, sir.
facilitize furniture and all that
Yes,
stuff.
sir.
Okay. Are you guys involved in anything with the trade stuff up at Meadows for SciTech?
Our
I'm
students
not
have
sure.
access to that and take those classes, yes, sir. So we have
Okay.
students in plumbing and electrical up there. This would offer other services for students in the western part of the county that can't get over there for those classes.
Oh, okay. That can't physically get there or anything?
Correct. During scheduling conflicts, the distance required, this would allow them to have these classes during the school day, where other students have and non-Stokes County school students have access to the other classes at the Meadows campus.
Oh, okay. Okay, so that is getting used then to
Yes, sir.
some extent by the school system.
Yes, sir. We do
Okay.
have students that are taking advantage of those classes.
They just have to drive over there for that, or are they ones that are already there at the?
Some of the ones are on campus there at the early college, and some come from our other campuses as well.
Oh, okay. What do y'all have a plan for this R&R stuff for those those classrooms at Meadows? And they must be 40 years old by now or something.
Are you talking about
Trailers, the trailer thing.
No, sir. We don't have any of the funds designated for those at this time.
Is there going to be a plan to do something with them at some point?
That's not been a conversation yet, so that's not in our immediate future. But it's something that we will certainly look at in the future.
So
but
you're
that's
not having any major issues with them that would cause you to have to do.
No, sir.
Okay, that's good though.
They're still in very good shape and all that. Obviously, a brick and mortar building would be better, but we have other more pressing needs at this time.
Okay. Also, one last question, just a funding question. Yeah, you guys were I think you had some funds set aside for the match of that grant if you were going to do the grant. Were those capital funds or some other kind of funds?
Those were capital reserve funds that we had set aside for that capital project if needed.
Still got those?
Today, yes, sir, we do. We are looking at doing some additional projects right now, but again, as funds come in, we'll be able to replenish some of those funds.
They're straight capital funds?
Yes, sir.
All right, that's all I had.
Jim?
I'm for it.
Any question?
Have you got teachers for all these trades? Because I know some places are having trouble finding trade teachers.
We do at this time, but that is problematic at times. And Forsyth Tech is a great partner as well. We're trying to work out a partnership to increase some of the trades at North Stokes right now. We've been in a conversation with them. But yeah, it is getting harder and harder. And that's one reason why we want to have these classes for our students is because they're good paying jobs. And so the problem is when they're in these good paying jobs, they don't want to leave that to come be for a teacher salary. But you know, so we're trying to get our students in these high paying jobs, and this will allow us to do that.
I don't really have any questions. I think it's a great idea. I think any of us that have run for office have often talked about the need for more CTE classes in the schools and how important it is. So I think it's been something that's been very well supported for years that we realized that we needed to do more of because there is more of a push these days for kids to go right into these careers, and we need electricians and plumbers and contractors and building, and I will say that Mr. Robertson over at West is doing a great job with the construction classes. I hear nothing but really good things about him and of course Mr. Rogers and all that's going on over there. So I think it'll be definitely utilized and a good thing for our students to have those kinds of choices. So I think it's a great idea.
Absolutely, I think it's a great idea because in don't tell my age now, 1977 when I was at South, we had all the welding and all that stuff, and you hear a lot of contractors today, a lot of businesses today that they not able to hire kids that's got this knowledge or any concept about it whatsoever like we had when we went out to the working world. We already had some basic knowledge of what it was, and so that's something we need to get back to for sure, and I agree with you 100% on it.
Well, and I'll just say that I'm very proud of the program we have, and I've got some people with me today. Dr. Jones, our assistant superintendent. Neil Atkins is our new CTE and secondary director. If you may not have had a chance to meet him yet, Richie Roberts is here with us, and of course Lynette Moore, who you may have heard. We recognized her the other night for her 50th year of being our chief financial officer. And there, so we're happy to have them. But part of the thing in the application we put in here, because I wanted people to know this, because I hear those same things. When are we going to invest in the CTE programs in our schools? Stokes County has done a good job of that. Our county commissioners have done that when you funded the position for the fire academy. And so we've all invested in this, and the results pay out. In your packet, you'll see that we have 96% of the students at West Stokes had credential proficiency, and as a district we have 82% when the state average is about 60%. So our kids not only go into this, they are earning industry recognized credentials that will help them, and we have success stories all through our district where students are able to get second and third tier jobs rather than entry level jobs due to the credentials that they've earned in our schools.
The kids at West that go over to the college, do y'all have to transport them a bus, or they all
We don't have regular transportation over there for that right now. So, no, sir.
Is Lynette still back there?
She is.
Congratulations, Lynette. That's a huge accomplishment, and I congratulate her on Facebook, but I'll congratulate her in
Need
person.
this approved today?
We would love to have it approved as soon as possible. That would allow us to move forward.
I think I'm fine with moving it
I'm
back.
fine with moving
I
along.
didn't agree.
Thank you very much.
That
Thank
maybe
you.
Okay, that moves us to the proposal of transfer of the Pine Hall and Meadowbrook Academy to Stokes County.
Okay, so another school-related topic. We collectively, when I say we, we're talking about us as county government and our school system, have kind of been in limbo for many months now, what to do with those two properties since they're no longer being used for educational purposes. And the Board of Education has approved, I guess in theory, a transfer of those two properties to the county so that we can dispose of them with a couple of conditions. In both cases, they would like any net proceeds associated with sale of those properties to go into our 4-cent fund to appropriately help to resource future school and other facility constructions that our our future students need and our families need. And then in the case of the Meadowbrook Academy property, they would also have asked that we ensure that it be sold for at least 90% of the appraised value that was provided to the school system by an independent appraiser. And that appraised value that they came up with was $750,000. So they'd like us to ensure that we would sell it for at least $675,000.
And there's not a stipulation like that on the Pine Hall property?
There's not.
As far as a dollar amount, but it was also appraised? Well, I mean, I don't really have any other questions about that. I guess we would have access to that appraisal before we dispose of it, so we would have an idea
I've got a copy of it.
of the worth of value of it. Okay. I don't have any concerns or questions.
Mr. Woods.
Yeah, I've prayed about this, thought about this. I don't have a good feel. We can't win in this situation. I prefer that the school system handle it. End of discussion.
I'm also not interested in doing this. I rode this horse one time and caught nothing but grief from it. Been lied about and accused of being corrupt and everything else. So it's just not something I'm interested in doing in the last 6 or 7 months. It took a year and a half or something to do the Francisco thing, and I think we're late in the game for the three of us to be doing this. I think the public would probably prefer the next board do it.
I'm fine either way. I mean, whether we do it or the school system keeps it and sells it, that's irrelevant to me. The money should end up in the same place regardless, so.
Yeah, I kind of agree with Keith and Rick. I mean, even to the point to where, I mean, I got drug in even to the corruption part, even though I barely retired in 2015 when all that stuff went down, and now I'm, and I don't think that it's not, nothing would be able to happen within 3 or 4 or 5 months. The communities need to be involved. There's got to be a lot of outreach, and I think it's just a disservice, because even if we did accept it, 3 of us are leaving the board, and I know that it wouldn't be done, and then you'll have 3 other people coming in. They may have a completely different opinion and start all over again. So in the terms of efficiency and being effective, I mean, I don't, 1 or 2 options: give it back let the school keep it, or keep it and we'll just set it aside, and they can come back in front of the new board, and maybe they'll want to take it. But I'm good with either one of those 2 scenarios, but I'm not in favor of taking it.
Well, you are correct when you say there's no good way. You're danged if you do and danged if you don't, because, the community's going to want one thing. We don't have the money to invest in a property for community use. We know that. So, who do you sell it to, the highest bidder, and just let them do what they want with it? I mean, then there's mud on your face if you do that, but then you don't have the resources to make it into a community hub or whatever either. So I get what you're saying.
And this is a problem all across North Carolina.
Yeah.
This is not just a Stokes County problem. Everybody's closing schools, and some are in cities, and they're fighting over it because of tax value. I mean, it's a problem.
Do a vote on that or anything?
What do we want, I mean,
I think you need to
motion?
take some official action, so you may need to
Move it to action.
move it to action and take a vote. And
Okay.
that way,
Back to
the
the
outcome
school
of
board.
that, they can use pursuant to the statute.
Well, I'll make a motion, we move it back to the school board. I don't want, you don't need to set to the end of the year and then regroup. That's more time wasted.
And I agree, I think that give it back to the school board, and if you get bids on it, or people get interested, talk to the school board, and I think county manager would be the key point on this, to talk, with the school board about it, and hopefully they can get what they want, and the community can get what they want out of it, and that kind of stuff, but I'd like the other, I just prefer it go back to the school board. Let them do it.
We'll move it to action and then make a motion on it.
Move us to the Action Stokes 2035 plan.
Good afternoon, Chairman, members of the Commission, staff. Thank you for the opportunity to present the Stokes 2035 Active Stokes Outdoor Recreation Plan. So thank you for the opportunity to work on this. I want to thank the steering committee for the months of work. Obviously, Sid was up here, Sid Wise was up here talking about that as well, and his work and other members of the committee were key to making that happen. The volunteer groups that take care of the 7 county-owned parks were very involved in some of the focus groups and individual meetings when we went out and did site visits on each of the 7 parks, and of course the staff. So, and I want to thank the board as well. So I came here a couple months ago. We spent a lot of time walking through all the goals and objectives of the plan, so I'm not going to do all of that today, but you've got a copy in your packet. I'll refer to some specific page numbers for what I'm going to try to highlight is things that have been done since that meeting, in terms of changes that came out of that meeting, and activities over the last couple of months, just to highlight those as well. Before getting into those changes, just want to point out the amount of public involvement. I think that's key to any plan. It's not really the document itself, it's what is the touch point with the public, members of the community, different parts of the county, how they've been able to contribute to that plan. That's what keeps it not a plan that just goes and sits on a shelf, right? So I think we had a great number of activities there. So our vision statement is Active Stokes will foster healthy living, strengthen community bonds, and inspire love for the outdoors through a vibrant, accessible, and fun parks and recreation network for all ages. And so we had 5 steering committee meetings. We had one on March 10th, so about a month after last met with you in early February. We had 2 public meetings, not counting the public meeting that Francisco Park held, we'll talk about in a little bit, a couple of weeks ago. 3 focus groups, which I just mentioned as well, and then 1 virtual. Of course, we had an update back in October, and then the survey responses, which had 415, so that's an appendix in the report. So just to highlight in black are the kind of sections of the plan that have been updated since we last met. And so those are the key sections. Of course, later on, start on page 57 or so, as we go forward, would be the kind of where those updates were were there. But there's a lot of other pieces of plan. I don't want to gloss over those other sections. We've got some demographic information, which I, interestingly enough, shared earlier in terms of the aging population. That's almost a quarter of your population now. So parks are a great opportunity for the older adult community as well as the rest of the community. We've got the vision statement in there, summary of the public involvement, and then existing conditions and standards. And so the one reason we put that together, one is just kind of a summary of what you already have, right? So how do you got to know what you have before we know where we're going to go, right? So that's one piece. Then also for the Parks and Recreation Trust Fund grant, which is a great program for local governments. You guys have used that in the past before. There's several of the 7 county parks that have used that back in the day. It's been a program that's been around for a while, and it's requires some standards. And so that's some of the recreation standards that we put into the report as well. So that's kind of some of the information that we presented a couple months ago, but I'm going to spend some time just a little bit on kind of chapter 4 and then some of the site-specific plans as we walk through. I said I wouldn't talk about the goals and objectives. I'm going to just highlight them briefly just for the benefit of the audience here, but we won't jump into each and every single one. But goal 1 is staff capacity to support parks and recreation facilities and operations. So within that, we have 3 objectives around a volunteer staff coordinator. You've got some great volunteer groups. How are we gluing those together across the county? Partnerships with the municipalities, some feasibility studies, so that's kind of goal 1. But there have not been any changes since the last meeting. Goal 2 is enhanced community well-being. So there's no changes there, but the idea there is to support the great festivals that were mentioned one last weekend. Of course, we're in festival season in spring and fall, some great events in the fall as well. So how do we support those and continue to create community connections? So we haven't made any changes there. Under goal 3, stimulate economic growth and tourism. Just added some specifics around objective 3.1 to support outdoor business development. I think that was implied, but tried to just spell that out, and then some specific kind of opportunities to support those outdoor businesses that are here, and then how to encourage some more there. So added that as a follow-on from our discussion back in February, and then the steering committee meeting on March 10th. Goal 4 is improve accessibility and visibility of county park system. So talking about branding, outdoor destination marketing, as well as kind of wayfinding and signage. So some lower cost solutions there. We've got 3 objectives under that. No changes to that. Oops, excuse me, I can go back here. Goal 5, upgrade and expand park infrastructure. So no changes from the February meeting on that, but there are a lot of resources involved in that, including 5-year plan, capital improvements, and whatnot. Goal 6 was expand and sustain outdoor recreational opportunities. So we had a discussion around filling in, being kind of direct about shortening the paddle times on the Dan River. And so just highlighted, building paddle accesses. I think there's 2 locations there that would really shorten the paddle times there to make, to make it easier to get in and out. So we highlighted that as well. And then goal 7 is expand program and facility offerings. And so there's no changes to that. So again, those are on page 57 for the next kind of 10 pages worth of goals and objectives. So just wanted to highlight those changes since we presented those to you a couple of months ago. Now, what else did we add? We also put in kind of an implementation schedule with some broad cost categories. And so at our March 10th meeting, you gave us the charge to say, steering committee, can you come up with the priorities and then present them back to us? And so what you see on the right of the screen are the top priorities, so the high priority objectives. So pulling those out of each of those 7 goal areas, and then applied broad cost categories of under $25,000, between $25,000 and $150,000, and then over $150,000 for those types of activities. In a lot of cases, it will depend on kind of design and then getting quotes to get actual cost estimates there, but just kind of gives a rule of thumb as you're budgeting and preparing. Again, this is a 10-year plan horizon, right? So there's time to invest in some of this. So we had those three broad cost categories, and then also included key partners. So that, it's not, anytime you do something, you don't want to go it alone, right? You need partners with that. So we've tried to identify, in a lot of cases, private sector or nonprofit partners that the county can then partner with to achieve success and start with implementation. Now, the cost categories are typically annual unless they're a one-time investment. Obviously, your capital, improvements would be, one-time investment, but there's some ongoing maintenance to consider with that too, or it's over the course of a couple of years. But for example, we talked about, feasibility study, the objective 1.2, that's a one-time cost to look at how to share and partner on staffing and capital improvements with the municipalities in Stokes County, just as an example. The other thing we provide too, and I'll show you in this next slide, is just kind of a more detailed Excel sheet that staff could use to track this over the next 10 years, check things off, keep notes on implementation. So it's just a tool that staff can use if this plan is adopted. Okay, jumping into the site-specific plans. So those are kind of the core of the Chapter 4 changes since we last talked. But then also we went out and did some field work and some site-specific planning. Also want to give kudos to the Francisco Park community on putting together a master plan as well. That's an appendix to this plan too. So this is Appendix B in your document. So I think it starts off with like B-1 for Martok Park. There's a lot in here in terms of general cost. We give kind of general cost ranges for each of these. Again, design and engineering would have to happen to have really detailed cost estimates. We would give kind of, for example, mountain bike trail, $10 to $50 per linear foot generally. And so if we're looking at the mountain bike trail, which is in your kind of orange spot here on the kind of outlying area or the upland section of Martok Park, we've got about over a mile of mountain bike trail, great topography there, real opportunity to unlock some great recreational opportunities with great views of the Dan River. Of course, you've got the existing part of Martok Park in the top right of the screen there. And so looking at the different facilities there, you've got some cost ranges there, but that includes, redoing the ball field, volleyball court, playground, propose a picnic / farmers market shelter at the paved parking area to facilitate some commerce activity or gathering events. We've got proposed picnic areas in the same location, and some improvements, pathway improvements at kind of where the existing parking lot is now. Obviously, the bridge needs to get completed. Using the resources that NCDOT has to replace the playground, that's going to be a good opportunity to then use that investment from NCDOT potentially as match for future grant opportunities. So this is probably a future grant opportunity down the road in a year or two. But a lot proposed here, and in terms of just general cost figures, you're probably in the high six figures to implement a lot of these improvements. But that does not need to happen at one time, right? That you can phase some of that in. That's if you're to build all of this. Now, can you space that out, phase it? Absolutely. And looking at grant opportunities to build those it would be huge. So again, doesn't all have to be done at once. So there's a quick overview of kind of the proposals of Martok Park, and we tried to utilize the plan from 2010, but then upgrade those as well to kind of what we saw in the public survey. Now this is just a real quick overview of the Francisco Park. They've got, we've heard the features mentioned here: picnic shelter, ADA accessible trail. So this is out of their master plan that the community put together and is embedded in the appendix of the plan. And so you can see kind of a visual on the right there in terms of what that might look like if that investment were to happen. And you can see the site map as well. So that's a quick overview of Francisco Park. I'm trying to think, I want to make sure I mention here. And so, there were about over 50 people at the April 19th public meeting to discuss this, and we're supportive of it. And the table that kind of highlights the phase 2 investment that was mentioned earlier during public comment periods. And so that, I think, concludes my remarks this afternoon. I know that's a quick run through. I'd be happy to answer any specific questions around the proposed 2035 outdoor recreation plan.
Okay, let me go first.
Go ahead, Rick.
Thanks, Jesse.
Thank you.
First of all, I really like the plan you guys did. I think it's a first-class plan. To me, it's final. I mean, it's ready to adopt, right? I don't need to do anything else to it.
Yeah, I think we're ready to go. The one missing piece, we did a photo inventory of all the municipal parks, and that has not been put together, but that will be complete by the end of next week. So that'll be Appendix C, I believe. So
Okay.
that's the one missing piece in terms of the plan itself. But other than that, I would recommend, given the grant deadline of this Friday for Part F, if we're moving forward with that, to approve it today.
Well, I'm good with it, with that addition you just said. Second point is, I read through it yesterday, and where you compared us to other counties,
Yeah.
I think you can easily make the case that we're not over-invested in parks. We're kind of really at the bottom. So given a perfect world where we had like a data center pumping dollars in, it would be easy to justify spending up more than what we're spending on parks based on what the other counties are doing. I mean, if you compare them like you did in the book. So I thought that was very useful information. The next thing is, what I looked at this page 66, the one you had up on the screen a while ago with the high priority objectives. I got one budget left to do before I'm checking out here, so I just looked at this page of what I would be willing to put in this budget. This is like a going in position, which we can be modified based on what the other commissioners want to do. I'm not ready to establish a recreation coordinator position. I'm not sure what that entails. It sounds a little bit like a new department. If it's a new department, I'm definitely not ready to do it, but in this budget I'm talking about. I'm not saying it shouldn't be done soon or whenever. I would support in this budget doing the feasibility study. I think Glenda could probably do most of that, working with Tori probably. That's objective 1.2. I'm definitely in favor of quickly developing a Parks and Recreation Advisory Board. I'd actually like to see that put together before you actually hire a recreation coordinator. I mean, that's just my opinion on it. So they could participate in the process of defining that position and maybe hiring it or whatever. Then on the Partif side, I would support doing the Francis Coe Partif grant in this budget. I would also do a Moortalk one if there was, because we've worked on Moortalk for decades. We've had plans drawn up. The bridge is getting done, so I think that's a high priority. But I don't know if we can do it in this budget cycle or not. But I would support definitely those are the two Partifs that I would be willing to support at this time. And then any of these others, if they don't cost very much, or nothing, but I think they're all going to have a price tag on them. So that's kind of my going in position for what I would do on this budget. I really think the Francis Coe folks, first of all, they secured, they got with Mark Black and secured land, a donation. They've done all these hours of work. It's obvious reading these documents and looking at the pictures that there's a need for it up there of their comments. I think they basically put a lot of skin in the game to where they've earned the Partif match, in my opinion. So that's my position, going in position for today. Mr. Chandler.
I see what Commissioner Morris is saying about maybe putting the pump up the advisory committee first, and then help them to establish what the next needs will be in terms of the coordinator position. I mean, I can go either way. If if someone else has another opinion, is, hey, we need to establish this first and what the reasoning is. But overall, I mean, I like the plan, and I'll save my comments for the next item on the park. But the only thing I guess would be if anybody else has something different that they want to add to the master plan. That's all I have, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Woods?
Well, the committee you're talking about, I would love to see, and I know this is a long shot, somebody from each park on that committee. But finding that person at each park might be a miracle.
I don't know, I think you could, for the most part.
But as far as everything else, I agree with what Rick has said, which is rare.
I don't have any questions, but I really appreciate all the work that went into this, and it's very detailed. I agree with Rick. It's a good plan, and it's you can tell a lot of work and thought went into it, and this is exactly what we needed to try to move forward with our parks in the county, for sure. And as far as I think we've got the grant opportunity for next discussion, so I'll just save my comments for that.
I want to insert control over these parks when it comes to selling food. That's us, or do we need to make rules? Yesterday, as I crossed the bridge, there is some kind of cart with all flashing lights. I don't know if he was selling ice cream or what, but he was doing a good business.
Ice cream truck, maybe?
And he has at Moatop.
The ice cream trucks do go around to different parks.
No, this was like
This
a
was-
hot dog stand.
Oh, okay.
Mobile
Well,
vendor.
Hot dog cart.
Well, there's a food vendor policy, there's a mobile food vendor policy on county property that doesn't
Yeah, I think the question then is what's the enforcement
They're starting
mechanism?
early.
Yeah.
Maybe they're, and that maybe they're not.
Does anybody enforce that?
When it comes to scheduling them on county properties, we schedule them, and it's 2 per month. And they have
Maybe-
been approved.
Maybe there needs to be a sign at Moortalk stating that they have to have approval to be there on county property. Food truck.
That'd be a good idea.
Yeah.
Because I would think too, that would be a health concern. I think that you'd want to make sure that they have, they've been screened by our health department.
Let's just make sure what are they selling.
Yeah.
I would agree with that. Mr. Morris, you know.
One last question, Jesse. Looking at this, if you really did all of this, it'd be a lot of money. So I had a question when I was thinking through it. Do other places do anything to get a financial return on investment for these parks? One of the arguments I hear is that this is just money going one way out, nothing coming back, and then a lot of people have a problem with a lot of outside use, like people coming from other counties and using them and not really contributing any kind of financial.
Yeah, I think it
whatever,
depends on the kind of recreation you're going to offer there. I think ball fields and those sorts of things. You get some revenue from those events.
Do we have
vending.
something in this plan about trying to figure out a way to do that, you think? Or
Yeah, I think. I mean, if you think about all the county parks, a lot of them are kind of focused on sort of outdoor recreation versus maybe the active ball field programming. So I think there's you need kind of a new type of facility. If you're looking at the existing parks, the probably opportunity for revenue is fairly limited. However, you've got a lot of great outdoor spaces and thinking of how to leverage that. It may not be a direct return on investment, but you have more visitors coming in, staying at Airbnbs, eating in restaurants, staying longer. The more you can offer them. So I'm trying to think. Thomasville has done like a piece of their I believe property tax that goes to recreation, and so they have a fund that goes to fund that quality of life around parks and recreation. So that's one opportunity. Of course, you have, sales tax could be another opportunity as well. But then concessions for some of those locations are an opportunity. Now, the feasibility study is asked to look at partnerships with King, Walnut Cove, and Danbury. Obviously, Danbury wouldn't be, bringing in lots of things, but King's an opportunity there where, if you're sharing on some staffing, there may be some partnership opportunities. I don't know. That's the feasibility study. We have to look at that. That's a one way I would answer that question is, I'd say it might be limited with what you've got now, but if you're, if you've got a spray ground, again, you've got to staff that, but you might be able to offset some of that.
I was thinking about things like
cost.
leasing or charging a little bit for the covered areas, maybe charge for parking, or maybe do food somehow, where you could get some cash coming back in that could then be reinvested in this plan.
Yes, yeah. So there's opportunities there.
Something to look at.
Yeah, I think Eddie had some ideas about all that back in the day. We can talk to him.
All right, that's all I have.
Do we need to move this to action?
Yeah, just one last thought too. If a piece of land comes up as an opportunity, you can always look at that as match for Part F. So if there's land, land that could be added to, say, some of the existing parks that's privately owned, that's donated to the county, the value of that could be used as match for future grants. So that's a huge opportunity there. Again, thank you for the opportunity to work on this plan. I really enjoyed it, and good luck with implementing it over the next 10 years at PTRC. We're here to help you find those grants and work through some of those resources if you choose to.
Thank you, Jesse. Appreciate the information. That moves us to the Part F grant opportunity discussion.
Did you move that to action?
Oh, I'm sorry. Forgot about that.
Yeah, we have consensus to move it to action.
All right.
Thanks.
Yeah, thanks. You. Now we go to item D, the Part F grant opportunity discussion.
Mr. Chair, if it's okay with you, I'd like to ask Texie just to come up here and just give a brief overview, and then have Nancy kind of on standby, because I know she was on the capital plan to kind of come up and just kind of help.
She has the figures in her hand.
Either one of you, or both, at one time.
What do you need now?
If you'll just give a brief, I know we heard some from, but I want to talk money now, specifics. So you can, like, there's a couple options, the total amount that from the county for the match, stuff like that.
We have an opportunity for a match of half, or for a match for a grant, and but we can't go forward with the grant without your permission. So Nancy has, and the capital, we have a capital campaign that we are starting, and this is some options that we might be able to partner with you for.
What's the deadline on this?
The grant application is due on May 1st.
Ooh.
Yes. So the total county commitment is about $110,000 spread over 3 years. That investment brings roughly $135,000 in Part F funding. So the county is leveraging outside dollars to expand the impact of its investment, essentially. The 3-year approach, and Brad kind of highlighted or asked for this, we have flexibility in how to do this. Let me move this down a little bit. We can do it in 3 steps. Year 1, 3 kind of more equal steps: build the trail. Year 2, the field, and site prep, and then in year 3, the pavilion, which would kind of gradually go into the project. There's another approach that would front load the pavilion in the first year. So you take a big first step and then 2 smaller steps, which is just quicker. But we have the flexibility. What we're looking for is the commitment, and then we have the flexibility on the approach.
And I'll just say this is that, and I know we're in a crunch for approving this. Personally, I'm in favor of when we break it out over 3 years, we don't put the whole thing up front. That we just break it down like maybe 50,000, 40,000, 40,000. But let's not forget that, and I think what stands out, at least to me, from the community, for the people that have put in all the time and effort to do this, is they're putting down $25,000. And I think that is significant, and I think it shows that there's skin in the game. It's not just coming and sticking your hand out and just wanting the county to fund everything.
And I don't know if all of you have been by to see our park at all, and it is very simple now. Our plans are not extravagant at all, but they're very worthwhile for our community. But we have found we're already beginning to offer events in the park. We had a kite flying where kids came in and made their kites and then flew their kites. And then Saturday before last, we built birdhouses. Now we have a bluebird trail. We had people to come from Germantown to help us build birdhouses. Although we really want it for our community, we see it as a community. A whole county park. It's not just for the Francisco community. I know one of you came up last weekend or a couple weekends ago to check out the park, I think. Didn't know where he was going, I think.
I did.
No, my wife didn't know where we were going.
You're in trouble.
We have another event. We have 2 events planned for May, and both of those one revolves around birds. We have a real eminent bird person in our community, and he's going to be there all day on May the 9th, and he can hear a bird and tell you what it is. I can't do that. But it's very entertaining. And then we're also going to have Art in the Park on the 16th. And at Art in the Park, we're going to have people from all around with all kinds of art work. So it's not just an empty field now, although when Wayne drove by it was. We're really planning events and putting things out there for the whole county, not just us. We want to be a destination.
And I know that I've met several times in the park, especially with Catherine, and what is amazing to me is that we would walk from where the parking area is and walk towards the back, and if she sees a wrapper, I mean, it'd be a Snickers bar wrapper. I mean, no matter what I'm saying, we're stopping and we're picking up trash, and that's the type of commitment that you can't pay enough of amount of money of dedication to, even if you had a dedicated worker that was out there. After a while, it's just one small wrapper, and that says it all to me about the.
And part of you, I've worked with most of you at one time or another, and part of you know that when we lost our school, we thought it was the end of the world, but it wasn't. It wasn't. Our community came together to in lots of different ways. But the park is very important to us.
And I'll I'll turn it over to y'all if y'all want to ask them questions, and then I can kind of summarize the end of it. I knew when I attended the kickoff meeting that I didn't have nothing to worry about. Y'all done great.
Thank you. We appreciate that. Our whole community, all of Northwest Stokes County is involved in this. It's not just Francisco. It's Collinstown, and it's Asbury, and it's Hart Store, and it's people come from all around.
Jesse, you have a comment?
Can I approach the just a real quick overview on the mechanics of the Part F grant. So the county has to be the applicant. There needs to be a commitment of the full match today in order to meet the deadline. So even though it's a 3-year project, that match commitment needs to come today. That can be spread out over a future budget. You guys want to make sure that is on the table. And so, there's some funding that's been raised by the Francisco Park community, but the actual match for the grant, which I have on my book, what is that amount? What do we have?
14. It's about 114.
Half of the part. So the Part F request is $284,627. So the county needs to commit 50% of that today in order for the grant to be valid on Friday. So that's the.
How complicated? Friday is May 1.
I know. Yeah, I know. Yeah, no, I'm just saying, just if it's and I know that this community has put a lot of work into that grant, but I just want to make sure that is on the table as the amount.
So for the county match would be $117,314.
We have to apply saying we're going to provide $142,000.
Francisco Park can then offset that back to the county, but in terms of the commitment, because it's county-owned land and it's a county grant,
Right.
this Part F is only for municipalities and counties to apply for. So that's the action.
We
that
just
needs
have,
to take.
if we would be able to do it, then we just commit to that, but we can break it down like 50,000 one year, 40,000 the next year, 40,000. What's the odds of getting it?
Very good, I would say. There's. I was working on a project in Rockingham County that's not going to be putting one in this year, and then you're below the max request is 500,000. So you're in a lower amount bracket too. So say they've given around all the 500,000. Oh, there's not 500,000. There's 200,000 available. They could the Part F board in August could potentially award this project.
I did an online thing, and maybe because you know how Google is sometimes, but I don't think a decision will be made until August, right? That would give us a little bit of time, and being fiscal year 27,
exactly,
that we would have to actually.
Correct. So the awards are typically in August. Contracts are executed and authorized to proceed usually in late fall, so October, November. And until that happens, work doesn't begin.
And the first part of that will be the track around the fields, that will be a walking track. That's the most visible and the one that will be used probably most, because people of all ages can use it. And it will be a surface that can be easily walked. It will be ADA.
So that will be what's funded in the first year?
Yeah.
Do you have an estimate on that cost, so we can figure out what to budget into our budget this year
Catherine had told me 50 to 55,000.
Correct.
for the trail?
Yeah.
And I think we're still looking into different prices on that for different widths.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that it'll be a quarter mile.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
The trail, that trail will be a quarter mile, and it will be ADA compliant. Everything that we have looked at will be.
Good idea.
$73,788.
I think that.
That's the total cost.
Yep. Yeah. So split 50-50.
The number that Catherine gave me took out the 25,000 capital project.
Some money that we already have.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's just the
That's
budget.
not our
budget
match.
number.
That's
Yeah.
not our match. That's
No,
the
it's
total
just
project cost.
yeah.
Is it worth mentioning the preliminary review of our plan? We got a very good review of the master plan that was preliminarily reviewed.
Yeah, so there's staff at the Recreation Resource Service that's reviewed kind of the merits of the grant. To your question, Commissioner Wood, about the chance of getting it, and gave a good review. So, and came out and did a site visit last fall, I guess, or summer, to kind of just talk about the project. And so they're familiar with it and will advocate for the project. So.
If we approve the 117 today, then you guys don't have any problem getting it in on time.
Need to be 140.
142.
142.
Correct.
We don't have any problem getting it done by the 1st.
Basically done. It's just
We're
waiting for
ready.
action.
And you have to budget the whole thing this year, right, Jeff? But then you don't have to have an outlay for the whole thing this year.
Correct. We have
Think.
phased out the budget.
No, I don't think we have to budget the whole 143 this year, but we would have to budget what we expect the total project cost for this year to be. So if it's that walking trail park, we would need to have in our budget 50% of that $73,000, and then there'd be some,
Our matching funds.
yeah,
Funds that we've
some funds back from the community that would offset that.
From a budget perspective, what does that look like for the county?
In the grand scheme of things, it's not a great big bill, but as you all saw my presentation a couple of weeks ago, we're trying to hold that tax rate where it is right now, and we're kind of right teetering on the edge. So everything counts.
So, does this open, would you say this would open the door for other parks to maybe do something similar? So like if Germantown Park wanted to come up with apply for some type of grant and come back to the county for matching funds in the future, that would be something we would be open to, because it kind of opens the door for that.
I think it does, and I think it probably should. I mean,
Yeah.
Where I've been nervous about with this is the chicken and the egg thing, and we're late in the budget development process right now, and we're just now adopting the Parks and Recreation Master Plan, and ideally in the future, what will happen is we'll use that Parks and Recreation Master Plan as a feeder into our 5-year plan prioritization system. So the things that we say are the low-hanging fruit or the important things, next January, we'll have the opportunity to tee that up for your consideration or the future board's consideration for what's going to go into next year's plan for the 5-year horizon.
So in other words, we're not doing anything for one park that we wouldn't consider doing for any park if they came up with the same type of situation where they could apply and there'd be matching funds. We would consider it across the board. I mean, because I'm asking that because just looking at that $143,000, and in my years of being on the board, which is not but like 5 going on 6 years, but I would say that $143,000 would eclipse 10 years worth of what has been spent in any other park, or combined, all the parks combined.
So where there might be a little bit of a perception of not everybody having an equal opportunity, I think would be this year, and we have had some requests from other parks to do things that they know they provided input on for this overall Parks and Recreation plan. We said, hold on, it's time out. Let's tee this stuff up for next year's prioritization system.
Right. Well, I know Pinnacle came and asked about their park and the pickleball courts and all that, and we didn't do anything to help them. So.
I think they asked for anything. They didn't ask for anything.
Well,
they asked it for permission to raise
well,
money.
They were
yeah,
gonna do
but I'm just,
fundraising. They may ask now, though.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. This just opens
Yeah.
the door for that.
There was a request.
I'm not against it at all. I'm just,
There was a request at the staff level for us to consider paving a parking lot for one park.
so there was a request.
So they have made a request?
I would think this could just trigger this process you're describing,
Right.
and then
Right. And that's
you could trigger
fine.
for it, given the effort they
Gotta
put
start
into it.
somewhere. And I mean, y'all have done a lot of work. You've done a lot of legwork and a lot of time, so.
We built our parking lot.
That's the reason, you know what Sonia just said, the reason that we're lower than all the other counties is because of what she just said. So if we're gonna try to catch up, we need to start doing it.
Well, if ever community, I don't make no community mad, but I'm just gonna tell it like it is.
I'll back you. Go ahead and say it.
If ever community put forth an effort like this community right here does in our county, things would be a whole lot different. And I live in King, but I can speak for people in Francisco because I've known them for 50-something years. Because I know how they work. I've seen them have events up there. They've raised money up there to help people that's had cancer. Everything else turned out great. Great support from that community, that area, on that side of the county. And I can't say nothing but great things about these people. I did ride up the park. I'm sorry my wife didn't know where Francisco was, but I did. But that's some beautiful, beautiful territory up there. And I support these people 100%. I really do. Thank y'all. Everything y'all done up there.
This will be an incentive for other parks to do the same thing. I think some of them will. You know.
Well, now that we have this Active Stokes 2035 plan, that will be probably a key thing that we didn't have in applying for grants and things. So it should
First
help
step.
across the board. It should be beneficial.
So, what's here for your consideration tonight, today is two resolutions. One is a resolution recognizing and adopting the Francisco Park 7-year master plan. And the second is a resolution that among other things, authorizes me to make the application for the part of grant that's been described here. So if you want to take action on that, we can move it to action.
Yes.
I agree. I move to action.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thanks for all your work.
Let's see. I guess we go to the plan board appointees. That's
me.
Livy here.
The terms of our planning board members need to be renewed. The current planning board members have agreed to continue serving. I will make note, just for the public's sake, we do have 2 vacancies on that board in the Snow Creek and Yadkin townships, I believe. So if anyone has any interest serving on the planning board, those 2 areas are in need of representation. It's a bunch of names. I'm just going to read them off. We'll nominate, and then if you see fit, and
I'm sorry, what was the other area you
Snow
talking?
Creek and Yadkin
Yadkin.
townships are vacant currently, and you can find any of our appointment vacancies on the website if anyone is interested. But I'll read off the names of the ones who have agreed to continue serving for nomination. It's Tommy White, W. Mark Sizemore, Ronnie Tilley, Jeffrey Whitaker, Ronnie Morris, Shannon Stanley, and Patrick Flincham. I know y'all can't repeat all that, but
I nominate the list as read.
There's a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
and I'll move that to action for the next meeting for
A
polling.
lot of these have been serving a long, even when I was on it, they've been serving a long time.
Yes.
Okay, that moves us to the action agenda.
Yes, it does. This is just going to be a bunch of me talking, so, like all of this.
When you were out, we moved something to action. What was it, Jeff?
Yes, we did.
The 2025 plan?
We did.
I can't remember which one.
Public School Building Repair and Renovation Fund request.
I have that one. Okay, let me just go through it.
Everything that's
Yeah,
in
let
this
her go
discussion
through them and see
is-
if.
I mean, from the new ones that got added today, I have the distribution request for the CTE buildings. I have the proposed transfer for Pine Hall and Meadowbrook, and then I have the Part F grant opportunity.
Active Stokes.
And the active
So
Stokes.
active Stokes needs to go in there. Okay.
That's it.
I wasn't sure if that was one that was going to be voted on. All right, from the top, we have from the last meeting, the Parks and Recreation Advisory Committee appointments. At the last meeting, you nominated Andrew Mathis to serve as one of the vacant positions for the Parks and Rec Advisory Committee. I have not received any other applications, so the board can be polled for Mathis's appointment.
Mathis.
Mathis.
Don't move.
Good to go. The next one is the Tourism Development Authority appointments. At the last meeting, the board nominated Jacob Tilley, who will be serving in Dave Hoskins' place for his final term. Additionally, the board nominated Katie Tedder and Elizabeth O'Neill as vacation rental property owners. No other applications were received, so if you would like to appoint them, you can just altogether Tilley, Tedder, and O'Neill.
Tilly, Tedder, and O'Neill.
Tilly, Tedder, O'Neill.
Tilly, Tedder, O'Neill.
Tilly, Tedder, O'Neill. Chili, Tender, Tedder, and O'Neill.
I knew somebody.
Close,
Well,
right?
All right, this one is the next one's the Board of Adjustments appointments. At the last meeting, we nominated all the names. Per the Board of Adjustments bylaws, it states that 5 of them will be primary members and 2 will be alternates. I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm open to ideas on how
Oh,
to
I
do
got a
that.
question.
Yes.
Since they're on the planning board now, does the Board of Adjustments, it's not a conflict of interest?
No.
No.
Okay.
They're 2 separate boards.
And they don't, the Board of Adjustments doesn't hear planning board matters.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just for simplicity's sake.
We just draw them out of a hat.
I mean, you can. The Board of Adjustments meets very rarely. I probably should have printed off
I
a
don't
list
think
of
nobody
names.
knows when they met last.
Yeah.
I recommend that Tilly and Morris be the alternates and the rest of them be the board.
Okay.
Agree. Anybody?
It's fine.
Agree.
So just for clarification's sake, that's going to leave Tommy White, W. Mark Sizemore, Jeffrey Whitaker, Shannon Stanley, and Patrick Flincham as the primaries.
Right.
Okay. Okay. Then we have, we got a long action list. We have the resolution of the Stokes County Board of Commissioners opposing modifications to the County Property Tax Authority. Would you like me to read all this or summarize it?
Summarize it.
Basically, it's just showing, that you as a board support the current property tax authority in North Carolina, which enables counties to manage property tax rates within established statutory limits, and that you would oppose any constitutional amendment that would restrict, cap, reduce, or otherwise limit county property tax authority.
Is that what the the State Board of County Commissioners wants us to do?
Yes.
Well, until they have another solution of how to make up the revenue from property tax, I guess we don't have a choice.
Yeah. This would be like a giant unfunded mandate, basically, of
Correct.
we'll control the money and we'll keep the requirements on you to do everything.
And this one just needs a standard vote, I guess. So, motion second. And then,
Motion for the resolution opposing modification to the county property tax authority.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Olivia?
Mhm.
Did they need to approve, take the appointments on the Board of Adjustments?
yes. Well, do you want them to stay out all the names?
I don't think they voted on that.
Usually as long as they'll state the names, but I mean, I can get a vote on it.
All right.
It's funny when we do appointments.
All right.
That brings us to the distribution request for the public school building repair and renovation fund.
I'll make a motion, we approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Proposed transfer of Pine Haw and Meadowbrook to Stokes County. You had mentioned essentially giving it back to Stokes County Schools.
I make a motion we don't accept.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Did you have further discussion?
No, I'm good.
Sure.
I'm good. I'm good. The highest bidder. That's who gets it now.
The next one is the Active Stokes 2035 plan.
I'll make a motion, we approve.
Second.
Discussion and add the part that Jesse said he still got.
Yes.
What was that for?
That's the photo inventory of the municipal park, so assets owned by the towns.
Yeah, with that addition, yeah.
Yep.
Without addition.
Everybody still in agreement?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Who made the second?
Who seconded it?
I second it.
Brad.
Okay.
Did y'all all say aye?
Yes.
Aye.
Okay. I was writing. And then the final one is the Part F grant.
Make a motion we approve the Part F grant, and how much do I need to state the dollars? Francis?
What you're approving are two separate resolutions.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So maybe we should break it down to the
Okay.
votes.
Yeah, that'll be fine.
The first is a resolution recognizing the Francisco Park 7-year master plan and adopting it.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And the second is a resolution authorizing me to submit a formal application for a Part F grant in the amount of $142,313 for Francisco Park.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All of them?
That's all of them.
Make a motion we adjourn.
Excuse
Mr. Chairman,
Yep.
before we adjourn, if you don't mind, just for clarity, the board could take a vote on the appointments for the Board of Adjustments. Is it too late to go back to that?
Yeah,
I mean, it's not clear in the past. We don't normally take a vote on appointments. The way I have been understood to do it is that we nominate it the first, the names are listed out, and then the board gets polled on appointments, which is just them stating the names. We can take a vote if you think that would
right.
be better, but the way we have done it historically is just having them.
Don't you have to advertise it for 2 weeks before we do the polling or not?
That's what we did.
Yeah.
You did already?
we've already done
You
that.
have to
I
get.
guess, what was different this time though was y'all didn't actually poll for the names. Here are the primaries and here are the alternates.
Well, he made a motion to make
We approve the list.
and
They called out the two alternates.
two alternates.
Yep.
And we
I mean, if you would like to
want us to
list
say
off
all
the
those
rest.
names, we can.
If it,
Yeah.
I don't.
if you think it's more, if it's clearer, then
Yeah.
I think we do that.
And I think Brian's raising a good point. I mean, neither he nor I have seen it done like this in other local governments.
No.
we want to go to voting on
That
it? I mean,
doesn't
I'm
mean we
just,
can't do it, but it may be more
can't
simple
vote
just
on
to
it.
have a list and
We just didn't vote.
have a motion and
the
a second to
person.
appoint
Are you
people.
talking about we should vote on each single person?
No, just,
Or a list, or whatever.
or a list,
Yeah.
Oh,
or,
we did vote on a list, because he
Yeah,
said
because he took
the
the two out.
names.
We
He
can,
said
we
the
can do
names.
it by written ballot if you like.
no, just if, so Commissioner Wood suggested 2 alternates and 5 appointees.
Yeah.
If the rest of the board would just go down the line and confirm that correctly.
I mean,
That's
voting
like
in the
polling.
motion.
All right, tell us the last names again.
I got the last names, I can do it.
Okay, you do it.
Can we just vote on it like I said that?
Absolutely.
All right, I'll make a motion that we use Tilly and Morris as alternates. The balance of the list be the board.
Perfect.
Second.
All in favor?
Do we need to do we need to?
That's
I don't
perfect.
know, I thought that's what we just did.
We did.
We did. We just did it again.
Thank you for humoring us.
I'll make a motion we adjourn.
Got a motion and a second.
Second.
I swear that's what we did.
Right.
You said that, that's what we